Hello, friends, and welcome to my new episode. 2021 is the centenary year of the great Satyajit Ray, and Netflix thought it apt to pay a tribute to the master by making an anthology series on Satyajit Ray. The series basically comprises of four films, each based on or adapted from stories originally written by Satyajit Ray. Each film is about an hour long. Some are slightly more than an hour, and there are four films in all. The films are directed by three bright and young directors, uh, Vasan Bala, Abhishek Chaubey, and two of the films are directed by Srijit Mukherjee. Now, before you see the anthology, I just have a couple of pointers, a couple of things you might want to ask yourself. Are you a Satyajit Ray fan? Are you a fan of his movies and writings? That is the first point. And the second point is, have you read the stories which have been filmed? Because to a large extent, your reaction and your views on the anthology will depend on your answers to these two questions. Because if you're a Ray fan, you associate a certain sensibility, a certain sense of aesthetics, a certain style of cinema with Satyajit Ray. And you might be in for a surprise if that is what you're looking for in the anthology. Whether the surprise is good or not, it's up to you, but you'll definitely be surprised. And the second thing is whether you've read the stories or not, because when we read a story and that story stays in our mind, we have certain images, we form an image, we form the story inside our head, and the thing then is whether that matches what you see on screen or not. It's as simple as that. So keep in mind these 2 points before you start watching the anthology. I personally am a huge Satyajit Ray fan, and of his cinema and of his writing. So I was seeing the anthology series with that backdrop. I knew that I would be seeing something different and seeing something not in the style of Satyajit Ray's cinema, because the trailers were enough to suggest that to me, that I would be seeing something completely different in execution and style and sensibility. But I was game for it, because I always like to try new things, and I like the sense of trying something different and trying something new. I like that. It's not that anything new or anything different is always good. It doesn't have to be that way. But I'm all for something new being tried. And hence, I gave this anthology a very genuine and serious view. Ray on Netflix, based on short stories by Satyajit Ray, directed by four directors. I'll go film by film just to give you my opinion on each one of them. The first one is Bipin Chaudhary's Shriti Bhrum, or The Lapse in Memory of Bipin Chaudhary, the story written by Satyajit Ray, and the film has been called Forget Me Not, directed by Srijit Mukherjee. To me, the pluses about Forget Me Not are simply the performances of Ali Afzal and Shweta Basu Prasad. I think they're both brilliant. They're absolutely superb. The story of Forget Me Not is of this young, dynamic entrepreneur who is really doing well in his career. He is sharp, he is a go getter, and he is a real success. He, in fact, wins the Best Entrepreneur of the Year award as well, and everything is going right for him. Even in the home front, he's just had a baby girl, and his relationship with his wife is a wonderful one, as we can see. And he prides himself for his intelligence, for his memory. He calls himself a human computer because he doesn't forget anything. And what happens is, when he is confronted by someone mentioning an incident which he has no memory of, and that starts troubling him, and he can't figure out how and why this is happening to him, and that begins a downward spiral in his life, and how he deals with it is what Forget Me Not is about. I didn't like the style of filmmaking. I'm I've liked quite a few films made by Srijit Mukherjee, so I'm sort of aware of the kind of films he makes and his style and his sensibilities. I'm quite aware of it. But somehow, when he's tackling a Satyajit Ray story, it doesn't appeal to me the way he makes his films. I mean, I cannot, for the life in me, figure out why there is a need to use the F word 20 times in the movie. Not that I was counting, but it's crazy. It's crazy to hear the F word being thrown around here and there, just for effect. It doesn't do anything to the story. It doesn't do anything for the characters. It's just too wannabe for my liking. It's just too trying too hard and to be cool and modern and whatever. Just not my cup of tea. Even as a plot, there were lots of loopholes. There are lots of questions unanswered at the end of the movie. A few twists and turns which sound really absurd. But as I said, to me the film just stands on the performance of Ali Afzal and Shweta Basu Prasad. I think they're both brilliant. Do watch it. Try and watch it as an independent cinema and not a film based on Satyajit Ray's story. Maybe that'll help you deal with it. That's how I dealt with it. Forget Me Not. The second film is also directed by Srijit, and it's based on Satyajit Ray's short story Bohu Rupi. It's called Behrupia. And this film was more of a disappointment to me, actually, because it starred K.K. Menon, and honestly I was expecting KK to really rock it. He usually does in most of his portrayals, and I was really expecting something special from him, and his performance left me a little disappointed. He can never be bad. KK Menon can never be bad, but left me a little underwhelmed, let's put it that way. Dibyendu Bhattacharya in his important role is very good. It's a story about a man who is really not taken seriously by anyone. He's just like a loser, like a nobody in society, until he is left with a book on prosthetics and makeup, and by his grandmother who passes away, and also a large sum of money. And he uses that book and the money he's got to make certain changes in him and get even with a few people he wants to get even with. That's what the story is about. That's what Bohu Rupi was about as well. And I think in terms of overt tribute, Bohu Rupi is much closer to Satyajit Ray's style of filmmaking than Forget Me Not was. It has a very distinct difference in treatment and sensibilities from Forget Me Not. But as I said, it left me underwhelmed. It was, and there is something about Srijit's tackling of subjects involving prosthetics, which either I don't get, or there is something wrong with it, because he makes prosthetics look a little too simple and a little too it reminds me at his use of prosthetics at times reminds me of old masala Bollywood films of the 70s. Let's put it that way. It's not that simple and it's not that that convenient, so it makes me uncomfortable watching him tackle prosthetics, because he did that in a film of his called Vinchida, which just shocked me how someone could make such a terrible film on prosthetics. There are such moments in Behrupia too, but Behrupia, the Hindi title. But as I said, it's more than that. It's just when I'm watching KK, I'm maybe expecting a lot more than what he delivered this time. Another disappointing venture, Behrupia. Barin Bhaumiker Baram, which means the ailments of Barin Bhaumik, is the third Satyajit Ray story which has been adapted, and it's called Hangama Hai Kyun Barpa. directed by Abhishek Chaubey, and it is my favorite film of the anthology series. It is simply wonderful. It's got a stellar star cast of Manoj Bajpayee, Gajaraj Rao, Manoj Pawa, and Raghuveer Yadav, and each one of them sparkle in this movie. It's directed by Abhishek Chaubey, and it is the best movie of the anthology, according to me. A wonderful movie about someone who's a kleptomaniac and gets onto a train journey, and he is traveling in the same train with a person from whom he had stolen earlier. And it's as I said, it's my favorite film of the anthology, and do watch it for its sheer poetry and elegance. It's brilliantly made. It's brilliantly made. I don't want to give you more of the story. Do watch it. Excellent performances from Manoj Bajpayee, Manoj Pawa, Raghuveer Yadav, and Gajaraj Rao. It's a superb movie, and I wish I had seen this one first. I wish I would probably be more warmed up, and or maybe my expectations would have gone up even higher. I don't know. But after seeing the first two films, which sort of underwhelmed me and disappointed me, I was thrilled. I was absolutely thrilled to see this one. Hangama Hai Kyun Barpa, directed by Abhishek Chaubey. Fantastic. The last film that I saw was directed by Vasan Bala, and is based on a short story by Satyajit Ray called Spotlight, and the Hindi man is also called Spotlight. I hadn't read Spotlight, so this was one movie that I was seeing absolutely cold, not knowing the story, not knowing anything, not having anything to compare it with, and because I had not seen the story, I didn't know what to expect. And yet, by the time I finished seeing the movie, I wish I hadn't started it. It's a terrible movie. It's very bad, and I'm sorry, I'm not one of those people talking about nepotism and things like that. But the director wanted Harshvardhan Kapoor for the main role. Just makes me wonder why. I mean, it's just a bad movie. Let's put it that way. If you want to attribute that to the bad story by Satyajit Ray, I don't know. I've not read the story, so I don't know how good or bad that was. But as cinema, as a movie, I just found this terrible. They should have made it a 3-story anthology instead of 4. But Spotlight is bad in every respect. I can't even begin talking about it. It's that bad. So that's it about Ray. At best, I can say it's a mixed bag. There are certain moments, there are certain performances in Forget Me Not, which are appealing, which are good. Behrupia is just about average. Hangama Hai Kyun Barpa is fantastic. It just to me, it's worth seeing the anthology just for the third one, Hangama Hai Kyun Barpa. It's simply beautifully done, and just when you're in that glorious high of having seen such a beautiful movie, you're brought back to earth with Spotlight, which is terrible. So it's a mixed bag. It's somewhat underwhelming that us being such a huge film-making nation, in a centenary year of Satyajit Ray, giving him tribute, perhaps we could have done better. Perhaps, or maybe my expectations were greater. One of the two. See the anthology series for yourself and decide whether a better tribute could have been given or not. And anthology Ray is available on Netflix, so it started from yesterday. So do see it, and let me know in the comment section what you thought of it. That's all for this week, and until the next time, bye for now.